Rui Hachimura.
Rui Hachimura.
Fantastic athlete.
Rui Hachimura, one of the draft's most physically intriguing prospects as a mismatch forward, who terrorized the West Coast Conference on his way to WCC Player of the Year and lottery pick status. Dubbed Japanese Jordan as a youngster, Hachimura has been on the radar since he was 16 years old. Physically, Hachimura has some similarities to two players, Harrison Barnes and Kawhi Leonard. In terms of height, frame, and somewhat mechanical movements, Hachimura resembles Barnes. In terms of his length and hand size, Hachimura and Leonard are alike. In terms of his style of play, Hachimura is closer to Barnes, with a scoring package that lives mostly inside the arc. While he has room to improve his defense, passing, and overall basketball instincts, Hachimura has added something new to his game each and every season, and should be able to have an instant impact as a mismatch scorer in the NBA wherever he lands. Hachimura is a physical specimen at 6'8", 234 pounds with a shredded frame, massive hands, and a 7'2" wingspan. He's an above-average leaper in space, using those hands and long arms to hammer home dunks in transition when he has a runway. Although not overly explosive in a crowd, he's a capable vertical spacer at a pick and roll, especially off of 2 feet. His tools show on straight line drives as well, as he sports solid stride length when he catches on the move with a head of steam. He can play above the rim in space, but even more impressive is his sheer physicality on the offensive end of the floor. He's powerful in his upper and lower body, regularly fighting for deep catches in the post, even against more traditional bigs. He has solid footwork and the frame to handle contact in the paint. He rocks defenders back with pound dribbles, creating space thanks to his physical nature, which wasn't always his MO earlier in his career. He generated 7.1 free throws per 40 minutes last season, and that strength was a big reason why. Hachimura was one of the draft's most versatile scorers, averaging 19.7 points on 64.8 true shooting in just over 30 minutes a night. His attack starts in the open court, as he's comfortable pushing off the break to get his own. Although a head-down driver, he's agile enough to get to his spots with the ball in his hands, even pulling up off the bounce on occasion. His ability to push off the break figures to create advantageous cross-match situations in the NBA. In the half court, he wants to get to mid-range pull-ups. Hachimura ranked in the 87th percentile on pull-up jumpers and in the 96th percentile on jump shots inside of 17 feet, his bread and butter at this stage. He's nearly impossible for traditional bigs to check on the perimeter, as he can get them on their heels before rising up over the top. He mixes in basic crossovers and even occasional hang dribbles from short range, displaying impressive rhythm into his shot. Although he shoots on the way down at times, he has great touch and is even comfortable rising over top of a versatile defender like Zion Williamson, especially going to his left where he's far more effective. Rui then uses his pull-up to set up his dribble drive, forcing defenders away from the rim, which allows him to get the edge and gain an advantage thanks to those physical tools. So he'll roast bigs on the perimeter, and then he'll take you down to the mid-post, where he loves to inside pivot and knock down face-up jumpers. Then once defenders try to take his airspace, he uses that quickness and strength to blow by you. He loves unleashing aggressive rip-throughs, especially to his left hand, a move that even some of college basketball's best defenders can't handle. He's found a lot of success just attacking on the catch to his right, not even giving the defender time to react. That type of decisiveness is newfound over the last year or so, and a big reason why he ranked in the 90th percentile on post-ups, his most used play type. He has touch on left-hand running hooks as well, something he goes to quite often out of the mid-post. Hachimura is also comfortable turning over his right shoulder to get to turnarounds when playing with his back to the basket. With his high release point, it's tough for even like-sized defenders to contest. Then if you try to switch onto him and pick and roll, Hachimura buries you in the post, as you can see here against Cam Reddish, who stands no chance. The last piece of the puzzle for him as a scorer is his perimeter shooting, where he's improved greatly. While there's still work to do, Rui shot 41.7% from 3 on 1 attempt per game, and has sound overall touch. He just needs to continue getting more lift under his ball and fighting the tendency to shoot on the way down. But Rui's certainly trending in the right direction, with the work habits and mentality to continue improving as a shooter. While a below-average defender in college, Rui has the length and frame to eventually become a neutral defender, especially in one-on-one situations. His near 7'2" wingspan bails him out when he's beat off the dribble, and although his technique isn't great, he's agile enough to switch in a pinch, especially as he improves his discipline and feel on that end. Lastly, his frame should help him hold his own in the post as he improves his ability to think the game quickly. Off the ball is generally where Rui has struggled, as the game moves a bit quickly for him. But again, the tools are there. When he's tuned in and the play is right in front of him, he has the length to rotate for blocks. Then he can jump to passing lanes as well with those huge mitts and long arms. Rui's biggest weakness is far and away his feel for the game, particularly as a passer. He plays with tunnel vision regularly, missing open teammates multiple times on one possession. Here against Tennessee, Rui has Jeremy Jones right in front of him on what should be a basic kickout. Instead, he pivots, turns back over his right shoulder, and forces up a double-team follower. He doesn't know how to react to help defense from the weak side, missing basic driving kick reads like you see here, instead powering his way through 3 defenders. Even though he scores inside, this should be a basic drop-off to Brandon Clark for the dunk. He doesn't see it, doesn't execute it, which is a red flag in terms of his feel. Again, here's Zach Norvell, arguably Gonzaga's best shooter, standing wide open in the corner. No kick out, and you can see Norvell isn't happy. He'll miss open teammates and simply just force the action, driving with his head down in space into predetermined moves. He picks up the charge here against Grant Williams, then tries to take on San Diego 1-on-5 in what's still a competitive game. He's simply a bull in a china shop at times, barreling in to help defenders and not reacting to how teams are defending him. Not the most aggressive player at a young age, Rui is still searching for the right blend between having his foot on the gas and imposing his will, yet also being selective and taking what the defense gives him. When Rui does opt to give it up, he struggles a bit to execute, telegraphing even the most basic reads. He finished with more turnovers than assists every season at Gonzaga and is late with his reads, not having a great feel for passes he can and can't make. Then when asked to isolate from the perimeter here, you can see his head down nature, not seeing the shooter in the corner, then losing his footing before turning it over. Just not a guy who makes those around him better. Although he's improved, Rui still has to prove himself from NBA range with consistency. He took only 76 collegiate threes in over 2,000 minutes, converting 31%. He shoots a flat ball even from the corners and struggles to get the ball above the rim at times. He still gets caught between a set and a jump shot and isn't all that quick getting to his catch and shoot 3, suggesting he's better suited for the 4 spot in the NBA. More frustrating than any of the misses is the lack of confidence that comes along with it. Hachimura loves to turn down rhythm 3s for pull-ups. Even the slightest weak side stunt and he'll put the ball down, as he shot 49 pull-ups to 48 catch and shoot jumpers last season. Because he's an on the way down style shooter, he's more comfortable in those mid-range spots than from 3. As you can see here, there are times he doesn't even look at the rim from the perimeter, head faking into a much tougher attempt. Hachimura took twice as many inside the arc jumpers as he did 3s last season, and his flat trajectory and on the way down style is a big reason why, as he's simply more comfortable from mid-range spots. Even in those mid-range areas, he can be a little bit streaky as well. While gifted with all the tools in the world, Rui was a minus defender for Gonzaga last season, both on and off the ball. As you can see here against RJ Barrett, he has a poor stance, regularly on his heels with a hunched back, rather than sitting down and working to contain. He doesn't have the best feel for his opponents either, shading Barrett to his left hand. On this possession, he's shading Barrett right, but gets knocked back and isn't quick enough off the floor to utilize his length and recover. Then here against RJ again, just look how hunched and flat-footed he is. RJ attacks that outside foot and gets right to the front of the rim. Then here against Zion, roasted as Williamson rejects the screen and leaves him in his tracks. Rui's simply too narrow in his stance at times, really limiting his mobility. His closeout technique needs work, and he's simply not the perimeter defender that his tools would suggest. That shows up in pick and roll as well. Here he doesn't give himself nearly enough room to keep the ball contained on the perimeter. Then if you put him in complicated actions as the primary defender, he struggles to make his way through the screen. He's jumpy at times as well, biting on fakes and committing avoidable fouls. He's not the post defender he could be either, as he doesn't always use his strong frame to his advantage, lacking the instincts and reaction time to read an opponent's move. But it's really off the ball where Rui needs the most work. You can see here he's simply lost in space, watching the ball against Washington, leading to a semi-contested 3. Guards and wings alike can cut all over him, as he's not all that quick reacting to their movements, which leads to a switch here and eventually a foul. He struggles in scramble situations, not able to read the floor quickly enough to find a body and divert an open look. Then you can see here he's late reacting when in a weak side help situation, resulting in a rushed rotation and a wild bite on a shot fake, eventually leading to a foul. On top of that, his off-ball effort leaves much to be desired. He'll just stand and watch when he's in a rim protection situation rather than making a play on the ball. Then in transition, he has a chance to unleash his length at the rim, but he pulls back. While part of it is due to his struggles processing things quickly on defense, teams would like to see him show a little bit more nasty on the defensive end in these situations. Lastly, he's not always the defensive rebounder he could be either, simply lacking aggression in that area. While improved, he needs to show more reckless abandon, attacking the ball in a crowd. He's not always willing to go up and get rebounds outside of his area, and it's fair to question how he impacts the game when he's not scoring.
It is now my honor to announce the winner of the 2019 Julius Erving Small Forward of the Year Award, Rui Hachimura.
Hachimura, that's him.
What a pass. Hachimura with a brilliant no-look pass to Brandon Clark.
Rui Hachimura is one of the more divisive lottery projected prospects. Some see an ideal NBA build with huge hands, long arms, a polished scoring package, and a quiet thirst to get better, while others worry about the lack of feel, poor defense, and flat jumper, viewing Hachimura as more of an inside-the-arc scorer who doesn't always impact winning. The truth probably lies somewhere in between, as Hachimura's physical profile, mismatched scoring attack, and overall intangibles are enough to earn him looks in the top 10, allowing him to develop into a quality starter in the right system.